Hello and welcome to this episode of the Print on Demand Playbook Podcast. I'm your host, Adrian here with my amazing co-host, Kerry. And in this episode, we are going to be sharing our print on demand predictions for 2024. We are going to be going in depth into trends that we saw coming up 2023 and where we believe print on demand is heading in 2024. And I'm just going to say it. Kerry makes a lot of spicy comments and predictions in this episode. So listen carefully. You'll know what I'm talking about. But first, real quick, before we begin, if you have not already, please be sure to subscribe to our podcast. We really appreciate it. Or subscribe to our YouTube channel where we also publish these episodes. It really helps us reach new listeners. It helps you never miss an episode. And we just want to be here to support you on your journey of growth and transformation. So thank you so much for in advance. We are so happy that you are here. And with that, let's jump in. Hello, it is our actual first recorded episode of the new year. And dude, the energy is wild. 2024 just has so much limitless potential. I'm so excited for the year. Kerry, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. I think we're both of us are in go mode right now. We are. You said all gas, no brakes for the month of January. You are in like build mode, hustle mode. It's new year, 2024. So, Adrian, I think we do have a review to read here. But you know what? I don't want to talk about the holidays. I don't want to talk about 2023. Let's freaking go, dude. Let's get this podcast on the road.
Go.
Let's get this podcast on the road. We're going all gas, no brakes. So we want our audience to do that as well.
Yes.
So let's just get it going, man. Why don't you read this review from Peanut Butter Sunday? Let's go. I love it. I love a good laugh on the name Peanut Butter Sunday. With a 5-star review. I'm going to let you read it, but man, let's get it going here.
Cool. Let's jump right in. We got work to do, everybody.
All right. Time to talk about nonsense.
No, yeah. Straight to business. Let's go.
We can put all the haters to bed in the reviews that are like, they talk too long at the beginning. Sorry, haters. Or actually, we heard you, haters. We're cutting it down here at the beginning. Just read the review, Adrian.
All right. On to the review. Enough of Kerry's nonsense. No, I'm kidding.
I forgot how to podcast. How do I podcast?
Yeah, dude, it's been a while, man.
It has been a while. We pre-recorded like 4 episodes or something. So
we took a couple weeks off, and it feels like awesome. It does feel like it, man.
Yeah.
But we're here with New Year energy, and we're here to just inspire and to get everyone fired up for what's hopefully all of our listeners' best year ever. So without further ado, we got this amazing 5-star review from Peanut Butter Sunday. Shout out to Peanut Butter Sunday. You're the man or woman. What they say is, here's a review. Honestly, 5 stars doesn't do justice. Started doing research on POD to put my punk band's t-shirts online, and now I am planning a whole new journey. Let's go. I drive a forklift outside for a piping company and listen to jazz all day with Bluetooth earbuds, and figured since I listen to music 9 hours a day, then I might as well learn a new skill instead, and came across this podcast. I was surprised to discover how badly I wanted to do this without even realizing, and I'm so happy to say it's December 22nd, listening to this morning's episode, and I'm all up to date. That's 53 episodes in 9 days. Kerry and Adrian, you guys are the GOATs, and mark my words, I will be joining your 6-figure team once I get this new baby of mine started. Cheers to a 2024 never seen before.
Whoa.
Dude.
Let's go, Peanut Butter Sunday. Hey, I think that's the name of his punk band. It's Peanut Butter Sunday. I found some YouTubes from a band named Peanut Butter Sunday. I'm really hoping that is our friend here.
Did you actually?
Yeah, I did. I Googled it because I was like, I think if they're making stuff for their punk band, it's probably called Peanut Butter Sunday. So after this podcast, I'm gonna get down to some Peanut Butter Sunday. Shout out Peanut Butter Sunday. Go check them out. I hope that's the actual band.
Dude, I'm craving a peanut butter sundae.
Well, all right. I know I have the taste of peanut butter in my mouth.
Yeah. But
All right.
but yeah, today's going to be an awesome episode, and this is one that I've just seen so many people doing on YouTube, on podcasts, and y'all know we are going to do it too. We did it last year. We're doing it again. This is print on demand predictions for 2024. So we're going to pull out our crystal balls. We're going to kind of dig deep, and we're going to make some predictions for the print on demand specifically for this year. So we're going to talk about everything, the good, the bad, the ugly. It's all here. And we've got a number of tips. So why don't we just jump in, starting with number one. Kerry, are you okay if I take this one?
Yeah, man. I was actually looking at secretly, I was looking at our print on demand predictions for 2023 to see how stupid we were a year ago.
Well, dude, if this
Okay.
episode doesn't go 10 hours long, maybe we could pull those up and just laugh
No,
at
I was like, we should go through those and see how good we were at predicting. But I'm like, let's not do that because
Let's make
we
sure we predicted a lot of things right first, and then
yes,
we'll decide. If we didn't, we'll just scrap that all together. No, I'm sure there was no one ever gets 100% generally, so I'm
yeah,
sure we were way off on some things, and I'm sure we were spot on others. Who knows? Who knows? But it's a new year. It's we've got the whole year ahead of us right now, and that's what really excites me. Like there is just unlimited potential, and I want everybody listening to this podcast to harness your new year energy and commit to yourself to taking massive action. And what I recommend doing is just start out of the gate, like set the tone this month for the rest of the year. Take massive action in January and ride that momentum throughout the year. So let's jump into prediction number one. It's funny because we did that not predictions episode a couple episodes ago, and now we're doing the actual predictions episode. So prediction number one.
wait, just to be clear, these are real predictions.
These are real predictions. These are real predictions.
I'm on. Something's happening today. I'm just laughing today.
Yeah, dude. We got the zoomies, man. The New Year's zoomies.
All right, come on with the predictions, Adrian.
Let's go. All right. Prediction number one: print on demand will continue to grow.
And shocker from the Print on Demand podcast.
Yeah, obviously, right? People are like, obviously, you're going to say that, but no. Hold on.
For real.
I want to take a look at the data because I like making data-based decisions. One of my mentors said recently, and this really stuck with me. They said, intuition is great, but data always wins. And I was like, that one hit me hard. And I remembered that quote, and I keep thinking about it. It's such a powerful quote. And so I want to share some data. Don't take our word for it. Let's look at the data. According to a report, the global print-on-demand industry was valued at $6.3 billion in 2022, and it's projected to reach $45.6 billion by 2031, with a compound annual growth rate of over 25% between 2023 and 2031. That's wild.
6 billion to 45 billion in 9 years that's pretty crazy.
So they're predicting that this is really just the tip of the iceberg. And I really do believe that for a number of reasons. We've got the continued rise of the creator economy. We've got the ease of starting a print-on-demand business. Dude, it keeps getting easier. You don't even need a website anymore. You could start a print-on-demand business on a shop, like on Facebook and Instagram shops or TikTok shops. You can do, there are so many different ways to use and leverage print on demand. Yeah. There's the ever-growing product selection. Dude, it just keeps getting crazier. Printify now has over 900 products in their catalog. And then you've got all these other companies who have products that even Printify doesn't have. So it's wild, man. It seems like the catalogs just keep growing. There's changing consumer preferences. I really do think that people are being very influenced by creators and influencers and what they see on social media. And it just seems to me like, I know that I feel like this is kind of the case for me. They're kind of moving away from just brands that don't really have an identity and they're being drawn into brands that they feel like really get them. Like these are the people they're following on social media. Those brands, a lot of them are putting out really valuable content. Like they're not just posting their products, they're putting out a lot of value. They're offering entertainment, education, inspiration, something like that. And I think that people love supporting people like that, like brands like that. As well as like the speed and quality improvements in the POD industry. Like the production times seem to keep getting faster. The quality seems to be improving. I'm sure some people like it's not perfect. It's never been perfect. It never will be perfect. But I do think it's improving. Like it's continued to improve. Like it was much worse when I first got into it. It's much better now. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to take that as a win because, you know, progress is that what we want to see. We just want to see it continue to progress. And really overall, I think POD is going to have a really good year because of for all these reasons and more. I also want to mention, I really think that international sales are going to grow on print on demand, are going to grow from print on demand. And that's because a lot of print on demand companies are making it easier to make international sales. Printify, Printful, Gelato, these guys are really good now at, especially Gelato. I'm going to give a shout out to Gelato here. I would say that they're probably the best right now for international, and that's because around 90% of all their sales are fulfilled in the country that it's ordered from. And you know, Printful and Printify do have a lot of fulfillment production facilities. I would say Printify probably has quite a few more than Printful. But if you can have the products produced within the country, then you avoid so many hassles. You avoid international shipping costs, long shipping times, potential taxes, levies, duties that are applied when a product from overseas outside of the country comes into the country. And that leads to really bad customer experience. So these companies are making it easier and it keeps getting easier. And that's why I think that there's going to be, for many years, there was a big focus on the US, and I still think that the main focus is going to be on the US, but I do really think that there's going to be a lot more international stuff happening. And I think we're going to see a lot more print-on-demand companies kind of like jump into the unknown and start promoting internationally, maybe even running ads internationally, because it's never been a better time. I'm not saying it's perfect, but I'm saying it's never been better than it is now to make international sales. Kerry, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, just to echo what you said, like anybody listening to this, here's what the data tells us. And there's so many different data points you can look at. You know, I've looked at a bunch of different data points this year. One you mentioned there was that, you know, all the experts, you look at the growth of print on demand year by year. It grows every year. The amount of sales that are coming from print on demand, it's predicted to grow to crazy heights. I did a video earlier this year where I looked at I went on the Wayback Machine and I looked at the amount of print on demands that were in the Shopify App Store when I started in 2017 versus now. And it was something like, I don't know, 6 of them. And then now it's like 400 plus in the Shopify App Store. You know, like every year there's more print on demand companies. And then, you know, another data point I spoke about on a podcast a couple weeks ago, like when you look at content creators, educators like me and you, I know speaking for myself, like we had the biggest year we'd ever had, the most amount of students that we've ever brought into Shirt School in our programs this year. And what that tells us is that more and more people are wanting to learn about print on demand, and that creates more successful print on demand sellers, more people selling with print on demand. And so that creates more sales volume and helps print on demand grow. And so it's cool because like we're a little bit part of that growth of like when you come into one of our programs and you want to learn and all that kind of stuff, like you expand print on demand and help that grow. So there's all the data points show us that every year print on demand is just getting more accessible. It's international selling, as you mentioned, is getting so much easier. And that's been the roadblock with international selling is it just hasn't been easy to sell internationally with currency conversion and customs charges, shipping time, shipping cost. Well, now you not only have companies that are shipping internationally, but with companies like Gelato, like you mentioned, they're making it easy because they're doing all the work. like you don't have to do anything. They automate it all, right? They can see where the customer is ordering from, and they simply just route that order to the closest print facility. And because they've got print partners in 39 countries or whatever, like, they're close to everybody.
Yeah.
So it really just makes international selling easy. And that's a big growth. That's a big growth lever you can pull when you're only selling in the US, but then immediately, because of a print on demand that makes this easy, you can go from reaching 335 million people in the US to reaching billions of people worldwide, because you instantly have that access and it's extremely easy to do. So yes, I do think print on demand will continue to grow, but I do have a spicy prediction for you to counter this a little bit. Not
Drop
even
it
really
on
counter it,
us.
but what's that?
Drop it on us. Let's
All right.
go.
I'm going to be bringing a few just little more spicy predictions. My prediction is 2024, we will see consolidation in the print on demand market, meaning some print on demands will be shutting their doors. Ooh. And what I mean by that, I don't mean that print on demand will get smaller. What I mean is that I think you would agree in 2023, man, did we see a move of sellers to the top print on demand providers. The
Yep.
top print on demand providers in our space are getting so good. The quality, the software, the shipping time, the cost, the
The
things that
catalog.
the catalog of products, the things that used to like differentiate some of the smaller print on demands, they just don't anymore. And so many people are moving to the larger print on demands. And personally, I'm not talking about just Printful, Printify, Gelato, the really, really big ones. I'm talking about like maybe the top 25, 10, 20, 25 print on demands. Like there's such a move towards those top print on demand providers that I think you're gonna start to see some of the smaller print on demands just, have to shut their doors because people are moving to such a better experience. And one more side note to that is that I think software, the print on demand software is becoming so important because of some of the other predictions we have on here, like AI and different things. The software is getting so important that the smaller print on demand providers just don't have access to the developers to create software that can compete with the bigger print on demand providers, and the user experience suffers. And so that's why I think we will see consolidation in the print on demand market in 2024 and beyond.
I 100% agree. I don't really think that's that spicy, man. I think we're already seeing a lot of it. And it would be hard, man, being a small print on demand company. How can you compete and differentiate with these massive companies with big support teams, huge production, like a huge network of production facilities? They built all these relationships. They have huge catalogs. They have competitive prices. I like you said, narrow down to 25, man. I think that it's really there's going to be the three winners, which like I already consider these are like the big three, and that is Printify, Printful, and Gelato. I think that those three companies are gonna get a massive amount of sellers, and they're going to continue to get. And when I think of consolidation, I think of a lot of people really only considering those three. And I'm not saying that there won't be other print on demand companies, but when it comes to consideration, man, we know firsthand. I know from talking to T-Shirt Legends Academy students and from talking to Six Figure Founders students, those are the only three that they're really considering. That's been my experience. So I 100% agree with this. Yeah.
All right, let's hit it with number two.
Number two, let's go.
There will be a rise in non-apparel print on demand shops, and apparel shops will start experimenting with more non-apparel items.
Yeah.
That's a little spicy. It's a little spicy.
It's a little bit spicy, but hear me out. All right. Hear me out. First off, let me just make it very clear. T-shirts and apparel are going to freaking dominate in 2024 like they always have. They will continue to dominate. However, I do think that more print on demand sellers are either A, going to open up start brands that are built around a certain product type that's not t-shirts and apparel. And or the second thing is a lot of apparel brands are going to experiment with non-traditional apparel products. So, for example, we're already seeing this with some of our students. So most of them are in t-shirts and apparel. And like I said, it still will dominate. However, we do see them experimenting with other product types. We see them going into things like canvas wall art, which I think is going to continue to grow. I think that that's actually a market that there's still a ton of demand for, and a ton of unmet demand for.
Yeah.
But other products like metal wall art, like we do have a student whose business is all around metal wall art.
Yeah.
And other products like that, jewelry, things like that, just because the catalogs are getting so big now. Maybe one is going to come in with something like, I'm trying to think of something else. Like really the ones that came to mind were canvas wall art, jewelry, and metal wall art. But let's see, what else? Like,
well, I think in addition to that, what we've already seen, which we could have definitely put on this predictions list, but is, like branding and stuff like that. Branding has become so much more popular. I think the consumer is somewhat shifting away from like most consumers don't want the just like wash it a couple times and throw it away, apparel. They want the higher end branded, like good fitting, non-shrinking, softer type stuff. And so I think they want a more premium experience. And I think things like embroidery are going to be popular, and like branding and different things like that, which kind of falls into this category. Is I think what we're saying is that, there's going to be a lot of print on demand sellers that maybe move away from just the regular front print t-shirt, So I would add that on there, right? Like embroidery, branded experiences, like just a little bit higher end of a product experience.
Yeah, a couple other things that came to mind. Blankets. I don't know if people know this, but blankets blew up in 2023, man. Like the sale of print-on-demand blankets blew up.
Yeah.
It was big. And so that's another very different type of product, right? And then things like tumblers. Like tumblers are like making a huge comeback, man. What's that company? Recently, there's like this company that's going viral for tumblers. I keep seeing them all over YouTube. And the name, I forget off the top of my head. You could probably just put viral tumbler. I'm just going to type viral tumbler and see who they are. See if I can pull them up. The Stanley Cup. That's it.
Yeah. I got one right here.
The Stanley Cup. Go on YouTube and watch some videos of people like fighting for Stanley Cups at Target. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
But it's kind of a unique product, I guess.
No,
but
it's not.
people, I mean, so this is their differentiator, really. I don't know all the details, but I watched a YouTube video because I was like, what is making this go so viral? And how can we take clues to share with our listeners? So people are saying it's different in a couple of ways. Number one, marketing, man, just marketing. That is, they are.
Oh, for sure. They built it all off influencers.
Yes. Yes, they've got like mommy groups, they've got content creators, they've got everybody promoting them. But the big thing about them, the way that they're kind of marketing it is like, oh, it's a tumbler with a handle, because that's what a lot of people wanted that so many tumblers don't have, is a handle. It has a sippy straw, so you don't take a drink and it like splashes in your face. And it comes in cool, trendy, neutral colors.
The colors
like
are
the soft pink, the soft color palette. So it's like very very trendy color palette. So it I guess that you feel cool when you're drinking out of it. But they're doing something right, man. And we can definitely, everyone can take some pages out of their playbook. So that's why I really do think that a lot of people are going to experiment with other product types, and some might even just go all in on that product type.
Sure.
Well,
for
the
sure.
last thing I want to mention real quick was when I was at the Gelato Accelerator Summit, I was presenting last summer, and I met a lot of their top sellers, and they were really in two categories: apparel and canvas wall art. And I would actually say that there were more canvas wall art sellers there than there were apparel sellers.
Mhm.
And keep in mind, a lot of these people are from Europe. They were from all around the world, but a lot of them were European. And it just seemed like, they knew something that I didn't know. I was like, wow, like a lot of people are having a lot of success with canvas wall art,
Yeah.
which was pretty cool. But I wanted to mention that because that actually surprised me. I thought it was going to be all apparel sellers there, and there were a lot of apparel sellers, but I was surprised by the number of canvas wall art sellers. And that to me was an indicator that there's a lot of demand for it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of print on demand sellers are going to experiment with things like that. And why not? Like, if you're really niche down and you've created this passionate following of raving fans and brand loyalists, give them more. Like, if they love your funny nursing shirts, maybe they'll love a funny slogan on about nursing on canvas wall art or something. You never know. But I think that there's a huge opportunity with other product types.
Definitely. I
Cool.
agree.
You want to take number 3?
I'll take number 3. Number 3 prediction: the use of AI tools by print on demand sellers will continue to grow as user adoption grows. So this one is I think this is probably the one of the ones that people would be like, yeah, duh, AI. It's the buzzword. It's everybody's talking about AI, and it's. I was looking back the other day. I was like, man, I've been talking about AI for like over a year, and some people even longer. Like, it's been AI's kind of been the buzzword for really like 1 to 2 years now. So it is still growing like crazy. I mean, we're really only at the base of like it has not peaked. Like, AI is going to do so much more. It's pretty mind blowing. But what we're starting to see now is we're starting to see print on demand companies put AI into their software. This is one of the things I was mentioning earlier, and why I think we might see some consolidation in the print on demand market is because the big print on demand providers are starting to add AI into their software. And I know some of the bigger ones have, if they haven't already, they have plans to start to integrate AI tools and software into their primary software. So, not only that, you can use AI for content creation, blogging, writing copy, graphic design. I mean, customer support. Like, it's pretty wild. So there's a ton of stuff you can do with AI. We're going to see this go to new levels in 2024 for sure. AI is going to start doing things that you would never imagine that it could do, and you're going to be able to use it in ways that you didn't imagine yourself using it before. I think that's going to be happening this year for sure with how fast it's doubling or it's growing. But I do have a counter spicy prediction for you. Are you ready for
They're
this?
bringing all the spice this episode. All
I'm trying to
right,
bring in the spice.
let's
All right,
hear
I'm going to
it.
hit you with a counter prediction though, because although I'm an AI guy, man. I'm not AI on this podcast. I am real. This is real Kerry, but I believe in AI. Like, I love it, but I think this year is the year we are going to start to see a movement towards the human touch. And
Ooh.
I believe that the AI hype will die a little bit, and the reason I believe that is because actually, I think we're already starting to see a little bit of AI fatigue. So for a while there, anytime AI was mentioned, it was like everybody just glued to the screen. If you saw a videos were blowing up millions of views. Podcasts, Joe Rogan's doing the AI Steve Jobs podcast. I mean, there's like, for a little while there, it was like everything was just huge. Well, now we're starting to see just a little bit of, I think I would call it AI fatigue. And I do think as more and more AI comes out, more and more AI gets integrated into things and we use it in different ways, there is going to be a longing or a movement for the human touch, because we're going to discover, no matter how, I think, prediction, no matter how fast AI grows, we're going to discover over time the things that AI cannot replace, and we're going to discover the things that we're probably going to miss, of that human touch, right? If you replace all your employees with AI, there's no relationship. There's
Mhm.
no camaraderie. There's no, you don't have jokes you make around the office, all that kind of stuff, all that kind of stuff. So that's my kind of little bit of a counter prediction to this is I think there's going to be that movement towards like the human touch of things. And yeah, I mean, one other thing I could add to that is that I don't know if you've heard about this, but YouTube has come out and they have said that they are putting in place a there's going to be a disclaimer on any YouTube video that is AI generated. So
Interesting.
you will know if you're watching a video that was made by AI, you will know that it is an AI video. A reason I say that is because although I think it will be useful for like if you're just trying to like, for instance, if I'm going to YouTube and I'm just trying to get the information, I don't really care if it's AI or human, right? I just want to know the answer to my question.
Mhm.
But that's not, although I do use YouTube for that. Like I go to YouTube and like, how do I fix my drain? Right. Or like, how do I repair my car or whatever? I use it for that. But what I use it more for is I use it because I connect with the content creators on that platform. I'm watching it for entertainment purposes, right?
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
I'm watching podcasts or, channels that I enjoy the take that people have. So if I go to one of those content creators that I watch and it says this is generated by AI, I'm out. I don't want to watch that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because I'm not there to get information. I'm there to kind of connect with this human.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I think we'll see that. I think that with disclaimers and maybe there could be laws coming in 2024 around the use of AI. A lot of laws being passed. Um, I should say regulation would be the proper term. There will be regulation. I think that we'll see people on in a lot of areas where they'll just say, "I don't want AI. I want the real human."
Yeah.
So, but
I think
it's going to grow as a tool for sure. It's definitely
yeah,
going to be more widely used.
I think you're right though, man. Like you make a really good point. Like AI, I personally believe that AI will never replace human connection.
Yeah,
And as humans, we are wired for connection. We are wired for human connection. That'll never change. It's innate in us as a human species. And that gives me a lot of optimism. That gives me a lot of optimism. Like, I don't, there's so much debate about AI. Is it good? Is it bad? How many jobs is it going to destroy? I mean, you could counter argue that. How many jobs is it creating? There's a
yeah,
lot of, how many people is it helping? How many small business owners is it helping them run their business more efficiently and maybe one day be the difference between them be able to survive full time as a small business owner and not, right? Like
for
there's
sure.
there's going to be pros and cons always of everything. There's like the good and the bad, but like I choose to focus on the good. I choose to
For sure.
focus on how can this make me a better small business owner? How can this make our students better business owners? Like how can it help people work more efficiently? And I'm all for that, man. I love to see people win. That's like that lights me up. And I just yeah, I think it's going to help a lot of people. I really do. It's going to help a lot of our listeners. It's going to help a lot of our students. And I will always like support that. I will
For sure.
always back anything that's going to help our listeners and our students. So
Yeah.
yeah, good. I like that, man. I like your thoughts on that. I really do agree.
I was
Um,
actually just to wrap that up, just because I
yeah.
was thinking about I wanna give credit where credit is due. I was actually reading that in Pat Flynn's, newsletter this morning. Something
Mm,
something similar along those lines. I'm trying to pull it up, but, he sent a newsletter this morning, Pat Flynn. Yeah, it says, "This will trend in 2024, and it's a good thing." And basically just wrote kind of a blog about that, about how we're gonna see a movement towards, people just wanting that human touch. And that's actually just kind of what sparked it with me to talk about it. So I did want to give credit there. Pat Flynn, he's the man. I love Pat Flynn.
nice. Awesome. Cool. All right. Let's jump on to number 4. Here we go. Prediction number 4. the continued rise of social commerce. And by social commerce, I'm specifically referring to programs like Facebook Shops, Instagram Shop, and TikTok Shop. Well, Facebook and Instagram Shop is kind of the same thing, but Facebook, Instagram, TikTok Shop, that is social commerce. Social commerce, for anyone who doesn't understand really what that means, it just gives people the ability to shop and complete their entire purchase all without ever leaving that social media app. So we saw Facebook, Instagram Shop launch a couple of years ago. TikTok was rolled out to the US in 2023. And already, man, there's like, it's really, I don't know if disruptive is the right word. It's really changing the game. It's really changing the game. So let's drop some more data on us because we love stats and fun facts and data. So I was reading a report earlier today that said social commerce sales were estimated to be almost $1.3 trillion, trillion with a T, in 2023. And that's estimated to grow to nearly 1.7 trillion this year in 2024 and jump to 2.9 trillion by 2026. Estimates show that the global value of social commerce is going to reach $2.9 trillion in the next 2 years or so. So, I mean, dude, this is kind of just, it makes a lot of sense. Like, how much time do we spend on our phones? How many, like every year, it seems like the numbers get skewed between purchases on a mobile phone and purchases on a desktop. It just keeps seeming like mobile purchases pushing up and desktop purchases are trending down. And where are, I want to say most people, but where are a ton of people spending a lot of their time on their phones? Social media. They're spending their time on Instagram. They're spending their time on TikTok, Facebook, wherever. A lot of them are on there. And so if we as business owners can get incredible products that evoke emotion and relatability and really connect with our ideal target audience, our ideal customer, I think there's a good chance that those people are going to convert into customers. And I do believe that some trust needs to be built. So I have this ABC framework of growth on social media: attract, build, convert. That's how it's going to be. It's our job to go out there and attract our ideal customer. Then we need to build our audience and build trust with them over time. And then when we get good products in front of them that evoke enough emotion and relatability, like a winning design, a winning product, they will buy. They will buy. And so I just think this is going to continue. I mean, I'm not even like, it's not even my original thought. I just like look at the data and it tells me that this is going to continue to grow. It's already really freaking big. And I do think that it's only going to get bigger. There are a ton of benefits of social commerce. So, I mean, you've got reaching a larger audience. Think about it. If you had a video go viral on Instagram or TikTok and it was featuring one of your products and it's being shown to the right audience, like your ideal audience, your ideal customer, there's a good chance that could result in some sales to you. It's also just very convenient. Like, people go on social media to be entertained. Usually they're looking for entertainment, education, or inspiration. Let's give them that. But let's also bake our products in there and show them products that they'll love because they're our ideal niche. Like, they're our ideal customer. They are in our niche. So if you can really sync up those two, show awesome products to the right people who are passionate about your niche, you can have a lot of success. I mean, there are other things just like the data gathering alone. We all know, well, maybe we don't all know, but iOS 14 came out a few years ago and was very disruptive to ads manager, ads tracking, and collecting data that we could use to better optimize our ads, or I should say Meta could use to better optimize our ads. But when people make a purchase in app, all within their platform, like on Facebook and Instagram shops, they have all the customer data. There's no ambiguity. Whereas if we run ads and we send people to our website, Meta, TikTok, they lose a lot of visibility because of the rules put in place by Apple with the iOS 14 update. So it actually gives us better data. It gives the platforms better data so they can better optimize our products and our ads and get them in front of the right people. A couple other benefits that I just want to say really quick, because I am very bullish on social commerce. I think this is the future. But that just like the social proof, like people can go on, they can see your account, they can see your following, they can see that you're on there regularly, they can see that you're active, they can see that you're posting to your stories, they can see that you're posting fun, value-adding content. They can see that you speak to them and you get them because your whole brand is based around some of their most passionate interests. It's good for customer support. I remember over the last couple of years, a lot of brands were putting on Instagram, in their bio, they were putting no DMs or no support DMs. I'm like, guys, get with the times. You should be helping people out on DMs. Meet the customer where they are. If they just were introduced to your brand on Instagram and they're going through and they have a question about sizing, think of how much more convenient it is for them to just drop you a DM and be like, hey, does your medium fit true to size? Instead of having to go to your website, find an email, pull up their email, type in the name, type in the email, it's even easier for us if we're checking our DMs regularly and responding, which we should be active on social media, as brands. So just leaning into social proof, customer support, and then also, I think this is something that is very overlooked, just purchasing from a trusted platform. People are going to be more comfortable. I think a lot of people are going to be more comfortable purchasing something on Instagram than they are from a website that they've never heard of and they just saw that it existed. Mm-hmm. So they're not going to, building trust is such a foundational part of conversions, of making sales. People need to trust you for you to make sales. And if you are on a trusted platform, as much as people like to throw shade on some of these social media platforms, a lot of people are still on them, man. A lot of people are still on them and they're spending a lot of time on them, even though they know that these platforms have information on them and are kind of tracking what they're looking at and stuff, right? So the list goes on. Any thoughts on that?
Okay, I got some spicy stuff for you.
Bring it.
I got some spicy stuff. All right, the first thing it's gonna come in the form of a couple questions. So I need you to just give me your answers on these questions.
Let's go.
First of all, I was shocked by this. Shocked. I just looked it up. What percentage of American adults, what percentage of American adults are using social media actively?
I have no clue, but I'm sure it's high.
I'm sorry, excuse me. I keep saying this wrong. What percentage of the entire American population? It is 90%.
Dude.
This is as of 2023 data. This says 323, 302 million social media users in the US, 90% of the total US population, and it's 74.2% of adults. So obviously there's some teenagers and different things.
Right.
One other way to look at that, the world population, 7.8 billion. The amount of people using social media worldwide in 2023, 4.95 billion people. So anyways, it's just wild. I was literally thinking, I was like, I'm going to look this up. I think it's got to be 55, 60%. I was thinking there's a lot of old people. There's a lot of kids. No, 90%. 90% of the U.S. population. My mind is blown. I want to ask you this spicy question, and I know I'm putting the pressure on you.
Bring it.
Because I don't know how I feel. I don't know. I don't want to say it as a spicy prediction because I don't really know I don't really know what I think about it. Do you think that social media shops are going to start to take market share away from Shopify and other website platforms? Spicy questions.
Dude, you are putting me on the spot, man.
It's okay. It's okay. Just do your best.
Okay, so obviously I don't know. This is only my guess, but I would say yes. I do
I think I
think,
tend to agree with you.
yeah, I do think it's going to happen. I'm not saying like Shopify is going to be replaced by Instagram shops next year. No, like
No,
websites will always have a place. Like
I
there,
agree.
it's important. There's a lot of things, especially right now. Like websites have way more capabilities. Like a Shopify website has way more capabilities than these marketplaces, these shops. Uh, so yes, I do think, because I think that the shops are motivated to take market share away from websites.
Mhm.
If they can figure out a way to monetize this, and like let's say they're making transaction fees, then yeah, there's incentive for them to get people to just put their entire catalog of products on there, and then people just to make purchases from there. And I think we are going to see that a lot. And I think they're going to make it really, they're going to continue to make it very easy to have shops without a website. They're going to say, let's cut out the middleman. You build your brand on our social media platform, and we will give you the tools to convert your followers into paying customers. I absolutely believe that that's going to happen, and it already is kind of happening.
Yeah,
So,
this is what I was gonna say. I'll try to keep it brief, but we're already seeing some small sellers that are just opening shops and just selling from there, especially if it's like handmade products and different things like that.
mhm,
What we're also starting to see is we're also starting to see print on demand companies that are directly integrating with shops, because for the most
mhm,
part right now you need some kind of inventory management like a Shopify to be able to then integrate that into shops, but in any
correct.
kind of shops. But I think I tend to agree with you on the counter argument to that. um, First of all, many millions of brands are still going to want to be in full control of the way that they are portrayed, and the brand, like the brand, they want to control the brand experience. So
Mhm,
millions of brands, high percentage of brands are always going to want to have a website in addition to their shop. And then in addition to that, I know a little bit counter to what you said. I don't disagree with you on what you said about people, trusting the platforms a little bit more, but I will say that a lot of people, I know I do this. If I'm looking at a brand and they have a shop, I a lot of times will go to their website because I want to see how legitimate they are, before purchasing, because, for the most part on shops, you don't have like the return policies and the terms and conditions. Like some of that stuff may be there in some way, but you actually need to go to the website to like see the whole picture. You know what I mean? See kind of
yeah,
everything and see maybe a little more history about the brand, because all you can put in your social media profile is like established in 2009 or something, like you're not going to have enough space to really like tell a little bit more about the brand or whatever. So a lot of people, I think as a brand, you still want to have a website because you're going to have buyers that want to see your, you know, it's like, it's like if you were standing outside of a store and you bought the product without going into the store. It's like you want to still have the store because you want people to go in and see it and blah, 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 in kind of a similar way, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense, but
yeah. It's kind of like
um,
a website. It's kind of like a brochure. If people go
yeah,
on
yeah,
there, they can learn what you're all about, and they can, and like I do think that you can go on a website and really quickly make a judgment of like this brand looks legit or this brand looks like a scam.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so I think you're right, man. I think you're right. Like websites are way more feature rich than shops, and I think that it's going to be that way for a long time. However, this is actually a good opportunity for small businesses being on shops.
For sure.
Why? Because it's harder for brands to differentiate just on shops alone. Like there could be a big company on,
True.
let's say, Instagram Shop, and then there's a small brand on Instagram Shop, but the small brand's doing an amazing job of marketing and branding with
Hmm.
the minimal options that they have. And they can appear bigger than a much bigger store just because they're like they know what they're doing and they're
On
doubling
social,
down
yeah.
on kind of what's working, right? And so it almost puts brands on a more even playing field.
Yeah. There's so many pros and cons.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I think
Let's keep it
people should
moving.
be on both. I think, yeah.
We could go
All
on.
right.
We could do a whole episode.
Yeah, we could, dude. Totally. Okay. We're gonna shift gears though. All right, we're gonna shift gears. We are on prediction number 5, and this is more like a trend prediction. So let's talk about some design trends because we are big on sharing these kind of things to set up sellers for success. Like you should be creating for demand. That is very important. Create for demand. Find what people want and then create products and designs for that need, for that demand. So a couple design trends that I think are going to continue to be really big. I don't want to sound like some freaking like this isn't mind shattering. These are already trendy, and I just think they're going to continue to trend. So I just don't want to take like credit for like coming up with these. But design trends that are going to continue that we saw kind of were really big in 2023 and that are going to be really big in 2024 are the 70s, 80s, 90s design styles. I think those are going to continue to be huge. That hippie, groovy, retro, those big bubbly fonts, that nostalgia, the kind of like Stranger Things style. You know what I mean? Like the kind of hats and the kind of shirts, the kind of shoes that they wear in that show. Like I think that was really big in 2023. And I think that that's going to continue to be really big in 2024. Let 80s stuff like like the kind of Saved by the Bell look and the old video game look, I think that those are going to continue to be really big. They're making a big comeback. And then I don't know if people have heard this term before, forest core. Have you heard of forest core, Kerry?
I'm reading the notes and I understand what it is, but I had not heard that term before today.
So forest core is kind of like nature inspired styles and designs. So that is botanical prints. That is like, have you noticed that there's a lot of graphic tees with like mushrooms on them now? That would be considered cottagecore. That's really trendy right now. Trees, animals, all these things, and like colors like the neutral brown, that really light brown color, super popular right now for shirts. I would say it's like one of the most popular like trendy colors. And then like forest greens, just forest core, man. It's forest core.
Yeah, I googled it. And that actually something similar came up. Like it just talked
Yeah.
about kind of the outdoor type color schemes, that kind of thing. But I also found a article from Canva, design trends you need to know about for 2024. And so what they predict in here, pixelation. That's kind of a cool
Oh
one.
yeah.
Just
I
like
would say that
pixelized
falls
stuff.
into that like 80s retro kind of nostalgia, like early arcade game kind of look.
They've got flow and form, organic meets geometric. So it says intriguing combination of geometric and organic shapes, which is cool. They've got motion collage.
What the heck is
What
that?
is this? Takes cues from Zine culture, handmade scrapbooks, photo montages. Yeah, that makes sense. And then they've got surrealism. And they've got bold rebrand. Bold branding is back in 2024. Vivid fluorescent color schemes and rounded sans serif fonts that channel positivity, fun, and optimism. Some good stuff in there.
Totally. I think these are going to continue to be big. And if our listeners, if you are doing kind of graphic rich designs, you should be like leveraging these trends. And the other thing I just want to make really clear is like you can do this cross niche. You don't have to be in the hiking niche to do forest core designs.
Yeah.
They are popular across niche. If I was in the nursing niche, I would be doing forest core designs. If I was in the teaching niche, I'd be doing some forest core designs. Like it's not design exclusive, or it's not niche exclusive. You should find ways to incorporate on-trend design styles, on-trend design fonts, design graphics into what you're creating. And we're seeing a lot of big e-commerce brands doing this. I'm seeing a lot of big e-commerce brands doing this. They're jumping on these trends too. Cool. Should we jump on to any more thoughts on design trends for 2024? All right.
Nope.
Let's jump on to number 6. Prediction number 6. The rise of the CEO content creator. So I am a big believer for social media that the future is in edutainment. Edutainment, like a mix of education and entertainment. People go on social media to learn, but I would say the number one reason people go on social media is, well, of course, to interact with people that they know and love and follow, but just to be entertained, And I think that we're going to see more. This is my own prediction. I think that we're going to see more print on demand sellers step into the light and become the face of their brand.
The ring light. Step into the ring light.
Step into the ring light, and become the face of their brand and start creating content and become almost like a not quite a personal brand, but they're going to become the face of their brand, and that they're going to become a content creator that puts out a ton of content. And guys, like, it's never been easier. I know it can seem intimidating. I remember this was January, I think it was exactly 2 years ago, January of 2022. I was very camera shy. I was not comfortable in front of the camera. And I remember I was having a Zoom call with my family, and we went around and we were doing our New Year's resolutions. Everyone was sharing their New Year's resolutions, because I always love to do that with my family, to kind of see where everyone's at. But it also like gives you accountability. Like, I love to share mine because it makes me feel more accountable to accomplishing it. But anyhow, I said that I was going to step into the light, and I was like, man, I'm so scared of being in front of the camera. I'm awkward. I'm uncomfortable in front of the camera. And dude, it was just like, I did a TikTok challenge on my own, 30 TikToks in 30 days. And as I got in front of the camera more, I got more comfortable and I got less awkward, I think. And I started noticing my social media accounts growing, especially TikTok. And it was just a process of like feeling the fear and doing it anyway, man. Mm-hmm. The easiest way the path that you need to take is through. You don't want to go around this. There is a massive opportunity for print on demand sellers to make a ton of sales if they can put out a lot of content. And it also means that they don't not need to rely on other influencers and other content creators. Like, think about how much more motivated you are as the CEO to make sales and to try to make this a legitimate side hustle or a full-time income for you. You're more motivated than anybody. So you should be the one putting yourself out there, and you don't have to. All right. I'm not forcing anyone to. I don't want anyone to get, super uncomfortable. But like, if you've been on the fence about it, do it. Just freaking do it. Like, put yourself out there. The more you do it, the better you'll get. And I believe that there's a massive opportunity here. All you need is a phone. All you need is a smartphone, and you can be creating content. You could literally pull out your phone right now and create content. This is a huge opportunity. And so I think we are going to see more sellers go this direction. And I've seen a lot of sellers on Instagram and TikTok that have been super successful as the face of their brand and as the primary content creator. So yeah, that's what I believe is going to happen in 2024. Kerry, your thoughts?
Have you heard of the app Whatnot?
I have not.
You have not heard of Whatnot? Oh, wow.
I have not heard of Whatnot.
Okay, so for anybody listening that has not heard of Whatnot, it feeds right into this point. I was listening to a podcast my favorite podcast, My First Million, and they were talking about this company Whatnot. Basically, they're like this tech company founded in 2019, and they have just like absolutely exploded. So they were just founded. They just started like in early 2020 or right around there. End of 2023, they're valued at $3.7 billion. And so what it is, Whatnot, it's a live selling, it's an e-commerce live selling platform. So you download the app and you can go on there, and basically it's just live streams of people selling products. So they're like doing a stream of themselves, but like selling Pokemon cards or like shoes and like all this stuff. And it's exploded. Like brands are on there and everything. It's literally just a social media platform designed for e-commerce selling and live selling. So it's a huge company now. But anyways, just to feed into your point there, like this company has absolutely exploded because this is the new way to sell. And this also feeds
Yes.
into our last point or one of our previous points about social commerce. So that's literally what Whatnot is. Like you guys need to go check this out. Even if you just go to their website, whatnot.com, you can see examples of the streams right there. Like this is what social commerce is, but this takes it a step further because instead of just shopping a store, you can actually meet the creator and hear from the owner, and you can see live video of the actual product before you buy it, and then you can just literally buy it right there on the platform. And I think most of the Whatnot streams are like, a lot of them are auctions, so you can actually bid on things, but you can also just sell. So I guess it's both. But if you're doing something that's like a collectible or something like that, a lot of times you kind of be able to do an auction. But it's pretty incredible.
Yeah. And it
I
kind of goes
definitely
back.
agree with you on that point.
Sorry, I cut you off there.
No, you're good.
It kind of goes back to the human connection thing, right? Humans are wired
Oh
for
yeah.
connection. Human connection will never be replaced. And you just think about how many creators there are that built million and billion dollar brands off the back of social media being the face of their own
Mm-hmm.
brand. You
Mm-hmm.
think about the D'Amelios, you think about Kylie Jenner, Kim Kardashian, Mr. Beast. These people are massive.
Yeah.
And a lot of their fortune was built off the back of social media, and who was the face of their accounts? It was them. And
Mm-hmm.
it'll most likely always be them, right? And you even look at them create Kylie Jenner has a makeup company, then Kim Kardashian has Spanx, Mr. Beast has like literally a product for everything, Mr. Beast bars. They use Shopify. Like people are monetizing the creator economy in a huge way right now. And I think that this is just going to continue to be a trend. And I mean, you said it yourself. What'd you say? 90% of the
US.
US
Yeah.
population is on social media. Yo, like people are tired of old school ads. Like, no, people just tune that out now. They want to be entertained. If we
Mm-hmm.
can do both, if we can entertain them while showing them products that they love, guess what? There's going to be a really good chance that those people are going to buy from us. And the last thing I'll say about this is you already see a lot of personal brands where people comment and be like, oh, I just bought it. I love supporting you. Or every time you come out with something, I feel like I need to support you because they feel like they have a connection with that owner. Like I love supporting small businesses. I really get a big dopamine dump from supporting small businesses. You know what I don't get a dopamine dump from? Supporting big businesses. I would way rather support a mom and pop local shop. Like I keep changing out the art in the background of if you're watching on YouTube, I keep changing out the art. All my pieces of art now that I'm buying, they have to be bought locally from a small business. And I think I've got like 3 over the last like 60 days. And I just want to keep compiling more background art that I bought from mom and pop businesses because it's a cool excuse to support local businesses. So I think that that's just going to continue. And I think it's a massive opportunity for print-on-demand sellers because a lot of people are too scared to do it. Totally understand. I was too scared too. But you know what? I felt the fear and did it anyway. And I encourage everybody listening to this to do the same. Alrighty. Shall we jump on to number 7?
Let's do it.
We've got 2 more. So this one and one more. So number 7 is that design quality will continue to improve. And this is what I mean by that is I don't think the days of graphic tees with just words are dead, and I don't think they're over. But I do think that consumers are really liking a little bit of artistic detail, especially when you can jump on trends like forest core and nostalgia, 80s, 90s, pixelated. You know what I mean? I think there's a big opportunity here. And I do think with AI, tools like Midjourney, tools like Kittl, dude, Kittle has so many cool, trendy designs, and
Wow.
literally you can just change out the words, change some colors, change some graphics on it, and use it on your products. It's so freaking easy to use. With tools like this, it's becoming very, very easy to create trendy designs. And back in the olden days, we used to hire freelancers for this. And a lot of people still are hiring freelancers. However, if you're hiring a professional graphic designer or a lot of freelancers, that can be pretty pricey for small business owners. And I want to make the case that like there are a lot of tools out there. Like I love supporting graphic designers. I've hired a ton of graphic designers and freelancers, but I do find myself creating more of my own designs because there are like really simple to use tools for it now. And when you're a small business owner and you're wearing like 100 hats, you need simple, like
Mhm.
you need simple products, simple tools, and you need to be able to do things quick. And I think that this is happening right now. And I think that this is going to continue to be the trend. I think like designs are going to get more graphical. And it's because it's easier than ever for
Mhm.
small business owners who have zero design experience to create really, really cool trending designs with very little work. Kerry, your
Yeah, I
thoughts?
mean, dude, with AI, it's like you don't need to know anything really. You just need to know how to like a little bit of prompting and you can create like designs that look like you hired a graphic designer. Like it's just
Mhm.
like it's so easy. So I do agree with you like because before really I would say before AI and then before really tools like Canva or Kittle, were around, like you had to know Photoshop. And so what that meant was if you didn't know Photoshop, you were kind of struggling through it, and it meant that the designs were really bad. Like even I just think about myself early on, I was creating my own designs early on, starting my first print on demand company. Didn't know what I was doing in Photoshop, but had to create designs. Like
Mhm.
I had to create them,
Mhm.
and so a lot of the designs that I was creating were just like really, really bad because it's the best I could do, right? And so like
Mhm.
no longer do you have to be limited by your ability to be a graphic designer. Like you have so many tools at your disposal. It's not only AI, although I think the AI tools are like probably the best tools out there for this, but there's thousands of templates, as you mentioned, Kittle, Canva, Place It, thousands of templates. There's just, so many easy ways and software and different things to get really high quality designs. I definitely think design quality will continue to get better.
Yeah, I totally
For sure.
agree. All right, let's bring this in.
Let's do it.
Final prediction. Unless, Kerry, you had some more that you were going to add at the end, but
No, no more spices.
no more spices.
No
All
more
right,
spicy
The
meatball.
spicy Kerry episode's done.
Spicy
Yeah.
meatball.
All right, here we go. Prediction number 8. This one might actually ruffle some feathers. And I look at data. I look at data, and I believe so. This is the prediction. More Etsy sellers will start building brands on Shopify. I have personally
Mic drop.
mic drop. Right, right. No, but dude, I've personally experienced more Etsy sellers than ever reaching out to me in the last couple of months saying that they want to diversify
Mhm.
off of Etsy. It could be for a number of reasons. Maybe they got their account terminated. None of the people that reach out to me, that was why though. It was actually because they said there's so much competition. It's very saturated. Every time they drop a design, like within no time, there's all these copycats who just steal the design. And so it's it's a marketplace, right? It's a marketplace with a finite base. Like people have to go to Etsy to shop for your products. And so with kind of the limited branding options, with limited access to customer data and a pretty crowded marketplace, it's more difficult to stand out on Etsy, to get repeat sales and to build brand loyalty. Like think about it. It's kind of like when someone sees someone with it, let's say you're walking down the street and you see a cool like dog dad sweatshirt and you ask someone where they got it and they got it on Etsy. What are they going to say? They're going to be like, I got it on Etsy. That doesn't help me. Like if I see it and it's cool, I'm going to be like, cool. I'm going to go on Etsy and type in this slogan or this dog dad sweatshirt, and a million listings that look
Mhm.
exactly the same are going to come up. And I'm not going to know which one was the one that they bought it from. And I like, by looking at the data, like there are some indicators of this. So Etsy recently cut 11% of its total workforce in, I believe it was December, like a month ago. And they forecasted that fourth quarter sales, gross merchandise sales were going to decline by as much as 2% due to a slowdown in consumer spending and increased competition from competitors like Shein and Temu, which are like, oh, just, I don't know, like they're companies that have a reputation for stealing
Dude,
designs, and they're competing with marketplaces, and they have these rock bottom prices. Like some of them are selling T-shirts for like $5 and stuff, which
did you
should
know
never be your competitors,
did you
by the
know
way.
in the last year, Shopify stock is up 119%?
That's pretty wild.
Just to count this like as a counter, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So like I'm looking at a mix of two things. I'm looking at what like we're seeing on the ground, Etsy sellers coming to us and say, hey, I want to get on Shopify to build like a legit brand and to diversify away from just being on a marketplace, because it's very hard to build a unique brand and stand out on a marketplace. Think about like, and I'm not talking just Amazon, I'm talking about like merch, merch by, sorry, I'm not talking about just Etsy, merch by Amazon, what's the other, Redbubble. Like there's a lot of marketplaces out there, and it's very, very hard to stand out and create brand loyalty because you're very limited in what you can do to build brand loyalty. And a lot of times when people buy products from those places, they just say they bought it on Amazon or on Redbubble or on Etsy. They don't actually know the brand. And I just want to kind of like redeem myself here and make it very clear. I love Etsy. Like I don't think Etsy is a bad marketplace. I actually think Etsy's the best marketplace for print on demand sellers. I think it is an amazing complementary sales channel. I still think there is a ton of sales to be made. I think it's a really good place to start selling products to get proof of concept. But at the end of the day, it's a marketplace. And that can make it challenging as a long-term sustainable business model, in my opinion. So I'm not trying to throw shade on Etsy. I'm just sharing my observations as someone who, on social media,
I'm
I'm
throwing
very
shade.
active
Put
in
them
my
out of their
community.
misery. Put
What's
them out of
that?
their misery. I'm throwing shade. I'm just kidding.
No,
I'm just
man. Like
kidding.
I like Etsy. I want them to continue to thrive. Like our goal is to empower print on demand sellers to take action, to unlock freedom in their lives, to create a lucrative side hustle or a full-time business doing this. And whatever strategy works for you, that's awesome. But what I'm seeing is two things. I'm seeing Etsy sales actually decline, like overall. I'm seeing Etsy peaked in 2021, and I believe their stock has gone down like 70%, like 70% since 2021 when they peaked.
So just
And
looking at the last year, I mentioned Shopify stock is up 119%. In the
mhm,
last that same year time frame, Etsy is down 40%.
not
That's just in the
good.
last year. Now that's like at the peak. It actually went down way more than that. But yeah, just in the last year, down 40%. Shopify's up 119%.
Yeah, it's not good. And I also just think that people are more price sensitive on Etsy. Like so many sellers are selling their t-shirts for these like ridiculously low prices where it's like you're barely making any profit. I'm like, what, like it's going to be hard to build a long-term sustainable brand if you're hardly making any profit on your shirts, and it's hard to get repeat customers because it's hard to differentiate and build a brand like that people are passionate about enough to keep coming back, right? And so I love Etsy. I want people to keep using it. I want people as a scaling strategy to use it as a complementary sales channel. But I always hitched my wagon on the back of Shopify, and I still very much take that stance. I think that should be the foundation of your business, the foundation of your brand, and Etsy should be used as another sales channel for your brand. And I mean, really, it's the natural evolution when you think about it, right? If I start a brand on a marketplace and I'm seeing a ton of success, naturally I would want to turn it into a brand. I was be like, I'm on to something here. People are liking what I'm creating. What if I could create a legitimate brand around this, get people excited, collect a bunch of emails, build up my social media following, and have access to all that customer data, run ads to my website. Like, if you're having success on Etsy, you could very likely be having success on Shopify with social media. And I just think this is a huge missed opportunity for a lot of people. And I want to challenge you, if you're an Etsy seller right now and you're having success, I want to challenge you to build a brand around your shop, around your Etsy shop. I mean, brand creation is just more sustainable in the long term. It can become super valuable. You could sell it. Like, you can't really sell an Etsy shop, but you could absolutely sell a brand that you created on Shopify. Wouldn't you want that? Like, wouldn't you want a valuable asset that you can sell at any point in time and actually cash out on it if that was what you wanted to do? So I just think brand creation is more sustainable in the long term than marketplaces, even though I love marketplaces and I am going to continue to use them. I encourage other people to continue to use them. But you want to collect all your customer data. You want to build a big customer list. You want to build a loyal social media following of raving fans. You want to remarket to these people. You want to get repeat sales, and you want to build brand loyalty. This is going to change the game for you. Dropping the mic. Carry your thoughts.
Yeah, I totally agree. Not a ton to add. I would just say that if you think about the last year for Etsy, they've kind of been at the center of a lot of different issues, controversies. I think especially over the last year, maybe 1 to 2 years, the raise in fees I know has really ruffled a lot of feathers with people. Um, there's just been a lot of discussion in the print on demand, not even just the print on demand, but just the Etsy community overall about the fees being raised. And then I would say, I think you kind of nailed it on the head. One of the biggest things that's kind of plaguing them right now is the copyright and trademark stuff. And so I guess it's two things: copyright and trademark, but then also just the theft of other people's designs. So like on one hand, when you upload your design to Etsy and it's just being stolen, and reposted all over the place. But on the other hand, Etsy is dealing with these huge companies like Disney that cracked down in 2023. And Disney came along in 2023 and just shut everybody down on Etsy. Like, you cannot sell Disney stuff on Etsy,
You never could.
Well, you were never supposed to, but it's like they finally shut them down. And I mean, I know a ton of Etsy sellers who have been permanently banned this year for that kind of stuff, right? Like, they had a Star Wars thing, or they had a Mickey Mouse, or they had something like that, And so they've kind of been at the center of this. And other thing I would say is like, that's probably a big reason for the sales decline in Etsy, is because so many percentage of their sellers were just selling copyright and trademark stuff. Like,
good point.
And so it's just it's a slippery slope out there on Etsy. But regardless, like, there's going to be some of that everywhere. So we don't want to single out Etsy. I mean, that stuff is a problem all over the internet. So we're not telling you not to sell. We're telling you to sell. You should sell on Etsy, definitely. But I've always looked at Etsy as more of a side hustle, more of a complementary, more of a supplemental type thing. Hey, can I pull in an extra $500 over here on Etsy? It's that kind of thing. It's not a place to build the core of your business on, because there's so much risk, but you're also handcuffed by the limitations of what you can do on there. So that's all I would add.
Yeah, and algorithm changes and stuff like
Mhm.
that. But yeah, you're right. That's actually a really good point. Like there's so much Disney and like knockoffs of like musicians like Taylor Swift and Star
And
Wars, like
there's
you say. And
Gucci and stuff like that,
yeah,
you
and a
know?
lot of those brands, a lot of those, they're not brands, I should say, shops. A lot of those shops who are super unethical, which is not our listeners, by the way, they would never do that. Um, and a lot of those
We would
shops
never
were
do that.
making a ton of sales. What's that?
No, just we were like, "Our listeners would never do that. We have too much integrity."
Exactly. Our listeners have integrity. We've never preached that. We never will preach that. And I don't believe our listeners are those people. But yeah, I mean, you're right. A lot of like you look at the sales on those stores that sold Disney, and they were making a ton of sales. I don't know why anyone would risk that though. Like, first of all, like that it just is unethical and it shows a lack of integrity. And I just, it's hard to respect any shop that would do that if they know that they're infringing. Now, to be fair, I think a lot of Etsy shop owners saw it and they saw these brands making a lot of sales by selling Disney. And they were like, well, a whole bunch of people are selling it. So why can't I? And then they get a slap on the wrist or they get their store terminated and they really quickly learn that it was never okay. But you're right. A lot of the stores making sales were the ones that were infringing. So maybe that is a big reason. But yeah, I love Etsy. I think it's the best marketplace. But I do think that more and more Etsy sellers that are, especially the ones seeing success, the ones that are like, okay, there's a lot of success here, but like I could get my account terminated for no reason tomorrow. And that is very risky. There's algorithm changes, lots of things happening, lots of reasons for them to go and build a brand. Like if you've found something, if you've tapped into something and you're meeting a demand, build a brand, like take the next step. This is the natural evolution. Build a brand, build a valuable asset that you can take pride in, that you can have control over, and that you can grow without relying on an algorithm or a marketplace that has the ability to terminate your account. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Whew. Kerry, man, that was a lot.
We did it.
We
We
did
did
it.
it. We'll see you
We
guys in
didn't know.
2025.
Yeah. We didn't know if we were going to have to break this up into two. We really didn't want to. So I'm really glad that we were able to get through all of these. But this was fun, man. This was really fun.
It was good.
Just before we go, I'm very curious to know if you have like a word of the year for 2024. Like, is there a theme for 2024 for you? Because I've got one, and I like now I'm like really, really driven by it, and I want to know like if you've got one. You don't have to have one, by the
I
way. No
know.
pressure.
Yeah, I was trying to think. I mean, I really don't. I really don't have like. There's not one that comes to mind. We could do a whole nother episode because I'm just in an interesting place with everything here at the beginning of 2024. I'm very excited for 2024, but I don't have a word for 2024.
Fair enough.
You share yours. Go ahead.
So my word for 2024 is impact.
Nice.
That's my word for 2024. Like I realized in 2023 that nothing lights me up like having an impact and changing lives. And there's a really cool quote that says like, what did it say? Like goal to make an income while making an impact. And I just feel like personally, like there is no better gratification than hearing like that you're changing lives and having an impact on people's livelihoods. Like dude, that expands so far, and the more people you can reach and the more lives you can transform, everybody's winning. And I absolutely want to double down on that in 2024. So that looks like creating more content on social media, like
Love it.
upping my volume on like Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, keeping this podcast going and just keep bringing value to our incredible listeners. I'm launching T-Shirt Legends Academy publicly this month, in the
Let's
month of
go.
January 2024, which I'm freaking fired up about. And just, I don't know, man, like I feel like this is a year that I really want to elevate my impact. And I've always respected you for this. I think that we both know that you have impacted a lot of lives. And personally, I don't like to take credit for my students' success because they were the ones that did the work. Like, we're the guide and they're the hero of their own story. We are I'm trying to think of a Star Wars reference. We're like, they're the Luke Skywalker and we're that wise little green gremlin. What's his name?
Yoda.
Yeah, Yoda. Yeah, we're like Yoda and they're Luke Skywalker. Like, everyone has to be the hero of their own story. It's their story and they deserve full kudos and credits for taking the action and doing the things that they did to have success. We are just the guide, and it makes me so proud, but it makes me so proud when people come and say, hey, like, this business has transformed my life. Thank you. And I know that you've done that with so many people. Like, I've always respected you for that. You've changed a lot of lives. You have had a lot of impact. And so 2024, man, I'm leaning in to impact. That is my goal.
I appreciate that, man. I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
So I used to have impact on my wall in my old office.
Nice.
Big word on the wall or whatever. So it's definitely important to me for sure.
It's a big driver. Well, with that, let's wrap up this episode. That was a ton of fun. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. You guys are awesome. Let's go have our best year ever. Go out there and take action, guys. Go out there, take massive action, transform your lives, and we're going to be here to support you every step of the way.
Let's get it. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Print on Demand Playbook podcast. If you enjoyed it, please leave us an honest review on whatever platform you are listening from. Thanks and have a great day.